Once upon a time, in the beautiful island nation of Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement, PNM, had established itself as the ruling political party for an extensive period. With a devoted following and a series of electoral victories, the PNM had ensured its continued governance. However, despite the party's long-standing presence, a disconcerting issue persisted. Black people appeared to remain at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder. Several factors contributed to this persistent inequality. Historical legacy. Trinidad and Tobago, like many other countries, had a painful history of colonialism and slavery. These oppressive systems left deep scars, and the impact of centuries of discrimination and marginalization was not easily erased. Black people endured the most of these historical injustices, which continued to shape their socio-economic prospects. Favoring the elite. Criticism has been levied against the PNM for its perceived bias towards the wealthy and powerful, often at the expense of the poor and marginalized. Policies that prioritize economic elites can perpetuate income inequality and hinder the socio-economic mobility of disadvantaged communities, including black individuals. Insufficient addressing of historical injustices. While progress has been made in some areas, there is a widespread perception that the PNM has not done enough to redress the lingering effects of colonialism and slavery. Efforts to dismantle systemic racism and ensure equal opportunities for all have fallen short, leaving black people at a continued disadvantage. Inadequate investment in education and social programs. Education is widely recognized as a key factor in empowering individuals and reducing socio-economic disparities. However, there is a perception that the PNM has not made sufficient investments in education and social programs that specifically target black communities. This lack of adequate support can impede upward mobility and perpetuate cycles of poverty. Unresolved systemic racism. Despite having a black Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, the PNM has faced criticism for not doing enough to address systemic racism in Trinidad and Tobago. While representation is important, it alone does not guarantee the dismantling of deeply entrenched structures of inequality. Systemic racism persists, resulting in disproportionate poverty, unemployment, and incarceration rates for black people. Let us explore the story of Aisha, a black woman who experienced the challenges faced by many in Trinidad. Aisha was born and raised in a disadvantaged neighborhood in Trinidad. Her parents worked tirelessly in low-paying jobs, struggling to provide for the family's basic needs. Attending a public school, Aisha realized that opportunities were limited compared to her wealthier classmates. Unable to afford college, she embarked on a job hunt after completing high school. Despite her hard work, Aisha found herself constantly struggling to make ends meet. The cycle of poverty seemed unbreakable, and she felt trapped, unable to envision a better future. One fateful day, while walking home from work, Aisha was wrongfully accused of stealing a purse by the police. Lacking the financial means to hire a lawyer, she was unjustly convicted and sentenced to jail. 6 months in jail took a toll on Aisha. Upon her release, she discovered that she had lost her job and had no means to support herself. Desperation pushed her to the streets, where she faced the harsh realities of homelessness. Aisha's story is but one example of the challenges confronted by black people in Trinidad. While the PNM has held power for a significant duration, critics argue that the party has not adequately addressed the issues perpetuating inequality. Consequently, black individuals continue to bear a disproportionate burden of poverty, unemployment, and incarceration. It is important to recognize that Aisha's story is not an isolated incident. Numerous black individuals in Trinidad face similar struggles to make ends meet. The PNM must take decisive action to address the systemic racism that plagues the country and invest in education and social programs that can uplift black communities. Trinidad and Tobago need a government that acknowledges the historical injustices faced by black people and commits to rectifying them. The PNM must take a proactive stance in dismantling systemic barriers and creating an environment where equal opportunities are available to all citizens, regardless of their background. To address the socio-economic disparities, the PNM should prioritize the following. Education reform. The government should invest significantly in improving the quality of education in underserved communities. This includes providing better resources, training teachers, and implementing targeted programs to support students from disadvantaged backgrounds. Scholarships and financial assistance should be made available to ensure that Black individuals have equal access to higher education and vocational training. Economic empowerment. The PNM should implement policies that promote entrepreneurship and small business development in Black communities. This can be achieved through access to affordable loans, business training programs, and mentorship initiatives. The government should also incentivize investment in areas with high concentrations of Black residents, encouraging job creation and economic growth. Social safety nets. The PNM should establish comprehensive social safety nets to provide support for vulnerable individuals and families. This includes affordable housing programs, healthcare access, and targeted assistance for those living in poverty. By investing in social programs, the government can help break the cycle of poverty and provide a pathway to a better future. Criminal justice reform. Addressing the disproportionate incarceration rates among Black individuals requires comprehensive criminal justice reform. The PNM should work towards creating fairer and more equitable legal systems, promoting alternatives to incarceration, and investing in rehabilitation and reintegration programs. This will help ensure that Black individuals are not unfairly targeted and have access to opportunities for rehabilitation and successful re-entry into society. Collaborative partnerships. Recognizing the complexity of the issue, the PNM should foster collaborations with civil society organizations, community leaders, and experts in various fields. By bringing together diverse perspectives and experiences, the government can develop more comprehensive and effective strategies to tackle socio-economic disparities. True progress can only be achieved through collective efforts and an unwavering commitment to equality and social justice. The PNM must listen to the voices of the marginalized, engage in open dialogues, and demonstrate a genuine dedication to uplifting Black communities. In conclusion, the persistence of socio-economic disparities for Black people in Trinidad and Tobago despite the long-standing rule of the People's National Movement highlights the need for more targeted and comprehensive efforts. The PNM must address the historical legacy of colonialism and slavery, confront systemic racism, and invest in education and social programs that empower Black communities. By doing so, Trinidad and Tobago can strive towards a more inclusive and equitable society where all citizens have the opportunity to thrive and succeed.